Hello everybody, and welcome back to another Kings of War Battle Report. I'm Visibly Riley, and it has been a hot minute since my last report. It actually took me about 5 weeks to get any games of Kings of War in because of, the world. And to make matters worse, I loaded my army up to go to a one-day tournament, right? Loaded my army up, loaded up the extra train, loaded my keys into the trunk, and then locked the car. So I locked my army away, had to have someone come by last second to come pick me up, and I just threw together what I had, available, because I literally had 10 minutes to shower and put an army together. So I put together a Proto Halfling list, which you might have seen. There was a gigantic Kings of War Fanatics post on Facebook about actually my Halfling army, where someone was, kind of ribbing the idea of the Halfling design, which, I'm actually all for Halflings. I think they're great. But unfortunately, all those models, they're unpainted. I had literally one model painted in the army, and I also had a giant Tau robot. So yeah, unfortunately, I can't really do battle reports on that. Unless you guys really want to see them, I'll just skip it. So anyway, that has nothing to do with this report though, which was Varangur versus Orcs in a 2,300 point battle of Invade. Well, kinda. First off, we'll go through my opponent's Orc army, which opens with 3 regiments of Morax, all of whom have Orcish skull poles. Then we have 2 hordes of Great Axe, both of whom have skull poles, and one has the Potion of the Caterpillar. Then we have 3 regiments of Orclings, a legion of Gored Chariots, 2 War Drums, a Crudger with Gakumak's Bloody Banner, that's the one that gives you an aura +1 wild charge for heavy infantry. Then we have 2 Crushers, both of whom have Gore, so they are, speed 8 mounts, and then one of whom has the Blade of Slashing, the other has the Mace of Crushing. We have Gakumak himself, and finally Ulfgar the Mad, the new Helpy's Rift wizard, so fun stuff there. Moving on to my Varangur army, it opens with 3 regiments of Draugr, followed by 2 hordes of Snow Trolls, one of whom has the Staying Stone, the other has the Chalice of Wrath. Then we have 2 regiments of Snow Foxes, 2 Jabberwock, 2 Magi, one of whom has the Inspiring Talisman and a horse, but then both of whom have Drain Life 6. Then we have a Jarl on Frostfang with the Blade of Slashing and a Snowfox, Magnild of the Fallen, and for my allies, I know, boo hiss, but until they take it away from me, I'll do it. I have a regiment of Heart Piercers and the Wilt Daddy, so a Tree Herder upgraded to the Wilt Father right there. And that is my 2,300 point list. So with that said, let's go into the scenario. Like I said, it's kind of Invade. This is another report in my series about dynamic battle, not dynamic battle reports, but dynamic scenarios. So all I'm doing is taking the basic language of a traditional Kings of War 3rd scenario, in this case Invade, and changing it so we're going to score throughout the game just to keep people engaged, right? As opposed to just scoring at the end of the game. I actually hate going, on a 4+, this decides the entire game if there's a turn 7, right? I hate that. I don't like, and I'm not saying that this actually changes that, but it does make it so I'm engaged the entire game, right? I'm accumulating points, and then if there's a turn 7 to roll off, fine. But I'm not a big fan of the other one. Anyway, this reads like this. Starting at the end of the second player's 3rd turn, add up the total unit strength of each player's units that have the majority of their footprint on the opposing player's half of the board. That's a mouthful, but most of that is Mantic's writing. If your unit strength total is higher than your opponent's, you score victory points equal to the number on the table below. 1 victory point for having a greater amount of unit strength than your opponent on your opponent's half of the board for turns 3 and 5, and 2 victory points for the same for turns 6 and or 7. Note, you may only score victory points during your own turn. Now, what that giant word jumble means is that you're going to score Invade, just like Invade, right? So, if I have 5 unit strength on your half of the field, you have 3 unit strength on my half of the field, I have more unit strength, right? So I'm going to get the VP if it is my turn. If it is your turn, all I've done is stop you from getting a VP. So you're only going to score during your own score phase, right? So with that said, let's move on to the table. So here is our table, actually a lovely setup done by the guys at Mugu Games in Everett. They built the table for us, and they ordered just a metric ton of Kings of War. So if you are in the area, I know of no place else that actually carries Kings of War, and they have everything. So yeah, check it out if you want. So let's go through the terrain itself. We have 2 height 9 forests, followed by 2 height 0, that should actually be height flat pieces of rough terrain. Then we have 2 height 3 hills. Then we have 2 height 2 obstacles, followed by 2 height 7 impassables. The other height 7 impassable is off here to the right, like the arrow is showing. You can actually see it peeking out a little bit there. But yeah, pretty symmetrical table, which is generally not my style, but we'll go for it. And let's go through the armies, starting with the orcs. We're going to start on this left flank, as I would see it. So over here, we have the first Crusher with a mount and the Mace of Crushing. Then we have the Legion of Gore Chariots. Keep in mind that they are facing to the right, so an interesting placement there. And we have back here, these 4 piggies are a War Drum. Then right in front of that War Drum, we have the first Orcling Regiment, followed by the Crudger with Gakumak's Bloody Banner. I absolutely love these new GW Orc models, by the way. I think they're great. Then we have the first Morax Regiment. We have the second Orcling Regiment. We have Gakumak himself, again, lovely model. And then we have the first Great Axe Horde with the Skull Pole only. And then back here is Ulpgar and the second War Drum. To the right of that, we have the second Great Axe Horde with the Skull Pole and Caterpillar Potion going right into this rough terrain. Behind them, the third Orcling Regiment and the second Crusher with mount and Blade of Slashing this time. I love these mounts, by the way. This is great because a lot of my opponent's orc army is, they're pigs, so more traditional orcs. Or I guess not traditional orcs, but the pig style orc, right? Like Ganon. So I think that's pretty cool. And then off here to the far right, we have a lonely Morax Regiment with a Skull Pole just chilling by itself. And facing off against the lonely Morax Regiment, we have both of my hordes of snow trolls. The left, the actual GW troll models. This is Chalice of Wrath, and on the right we have, some of my a lot of this army is going to be my Night Stalker's army because I'm actually working on the Varangur models for now. It is going to be a full Mantic army, or as full as I can get. And yeah, so until then, we're going to just, put out some painted models. So anyway, we have the second Snow Troll Horde with the Staying Stone. In between them is my Jarl on Frostbang with the Blade of Slashing and a Snow Fox. And behind them, we have both these Snow Fox regiments. To the right of that, we have my Heartpiercer Regiment, along with the 1st Regiment of Draugr and Magnild. And back there, we have the 2nd and 3rd Draugr Regiment, along with the Magus with Drain Life 6. I believe they're about here, but they're hiding behind my my extra basing. And finally, we have Wilt Daddy already scouted forward. And off here to the far right, we have both the Jabberwock and the Magus with Drain Life 6, Inspiring Talisman, and a horse to hang out with them. So with that out of the way, let's go into turn 1. Turn 1 ends up going to the Varangur. And originally, my plan with this left flank was a bunch of trash, right? And then I had the Whelpfather plus the double Jabberwock plus double Drain Life if I needed it to really rain hell on the units, right? The Whelpfather obviously is an amazing unit, very difficult to push, and really puts out some damage. And on top of it, Cloak of Death triggers before the Jabberwock's combat begins, so I believe that gives them +1 attack. And then same thing with the Drain Life, right? So that's going to be the plan there. But because my opponent put this Chariot Legion, right, it would have been great if they actually had space for it. But I remember my opponent going like, "Oh, I actually didn't plan out where these chariots go." So they had to put them sideways if they wanted them over here, which they did. And because they're even over here, there's actually a bit too much threat. I thought my opponent was going to go a little lighter because there was actually to the right, which you can't see, where one of the Orcling regiments are and one of the Crushers. My opponent could have put the Legion of Chariots down there, right, and facing forward, so I thought that's where they were going to go, but they didn't, so they end up on this side, and it makes it so I have to pull back more than I was going to, because otherwise I would have sent the Whelpfather, full sprint forward with the Scout, just sit in front of this Morax, take the charge, and then beat them up and hit them with Jabberwock as well, right? But it's not to be, so instead we're being a little trepidatious with our Speed 4 infantry, just, doing the best they can. We did make sure that we have a clear sight, or clear line for Lightning Bolt there, and then I've got a Lightning Bolt here as well onto the Morax. And up here on the right, yeah, I just move my trolls forward to stay out of charge range. With the Morax off to the left, they have a possible charge of 14 due to Wild Charge D3 natively, and then +1 Wild Charge Aura, which is sort of the, by the way, if you want to know my thoughts on Halflings, it's why it's not really a gotcha that the Gastromancy exists, but anyway. So they're 14, these guys are all 11, so I just make sure I'm out of 11, then out of 13 here. I will mention that I tried to keep this unit up on the hill, so, you know, I could charge down it and get +1 TC, because orcs are difficult to deal with. If my opponent makes a mistake, for example, if like a corner, you know, this unit is sticking out here, then I can charge in and run with my units and block myself, so I'll only hit that little piece, you know, not a corner to corner charge, but any amount extra, and I will just charge in there, right, and get the +1 TC. But, you know, that's just an idea for now. And everything else just follows up. Obviously, the Jarl has Strider, but, you know, you can't run over an obstacle, so I just walk 7, which I'm perfectly fine with. And then I put the Snow Foxes directly behind them. And over here with my shooting, I managed 2 wounds with the Lightning Bolt onto this Crusher, and I get a very lucky waiver. I believe that unit is a 10-12, or is it maybe a 9-11, because orcs have a little lower nerve values. But either way, that's a lucky nerve. And here's the end of turn shot. My other lightning bolt does nothing, so we will move on to turn 1 for the orcs. So turn one orcs, they decide to hold back just a little bit. It's an interesting move here on the right, because the Morax on an average roll, due to the +1 wild charge banner, right, they need to roll a 3+ and they outrange the Wiltfather. So I think their idea is just to stay exactly out of 12, and then they might be in 14, but the Jabberwock aren't particularly great right now. So if they stay just out of 12, they can, you know, out-threat me on a 3+, right? Which is a pretty good roll with 2 units. So fair enough. And then the Chariots turn to face forward. It's also really good. This guy just stays put because of the waiver. No reason to go backwards. And then the War Drum moves forward a little bit. And then in the center line, you can see, I'm not exactly sure about this one, why these orcs held back instead of maintaining the line, but I'm guessing it's because maybe these trolls could get to that combat and they were just trying to make sure they couldn't. But yeah, anyway, these guys just run forward into the terrain, and you can see the exact thing I'm talking about, right? Which is there is a small line there that if I can lock this part of the combat, right, I can charge this troll horde in there and not be hindered, right? Which isn't actually all that difficult to do, because I could, for example, I could get a combo charge off here, and then, you know, arrange my units, and then just move these guys who are nimble through and place them to trap my unit, right? Just railroading them straight on, just making sure that they can't slide anymore, and then it's not a hindered charge anymore. But my opponent does something here, which is, I just felt real dumb after this. I just wasn't even paying attention to this Crusher, just deleted it from my mind, because of course the Crusher is just going to charge into one of these units of trolls and mess them up for a turn. So yeah, they do exactly that. 3 attacks on 3s, and then 3s with, I believe this is the Blade of Slashing one. So yeah, just going in there, doing 1 wound, and I'll be unable to charge through it. Now, I will say I'm close enough that I can get a 6-inch overrun into this horde if I want to, but meh. Anyway, I felt a little foolish about that. I'll talk about how much more foolish I am after this. So with my opponent's combat, yeah, it does manage the 1 wound, so gets the Disordered, which doesn't matter too much, except for the fact that I can't charge through them now. So fair enough. The end of turn 1 looks a little like this. You can see the orc line has sort of this, like, you know, stepladder kind of look to it. What are you doing, stepladder? So just moving on down, just trying to hide from this left side, which I find a little interesting, because this is my power side, so like you'd expect this would be the side that they would maybe pull back from and then push forward here. But anyway, it's the inverse, which is fair, I guess, because this is also their power side. But with that said, let's move on to turn 2. So turn 2 for the Varangur. I choose to just hold back a little bit with a lot of stuff, just because I have my opponent outgunned, as you know, pretty much anyone does against orcs. My opponent only has Ulfgar, which I believe has Fireball, not Lightning Bolt. So you know, a little too short range to fire at me. While I do have that Lightning Bolt and a Regiment of Heart Piercers, so I'm just going to hold back a little bit. With a lot of this stuff, I will end up popping the wings on MacLeod and going into this War Drum after I took this picture, so just be aware of that. But otherwise, yeah, we're just holding back, and we're going to fire some lightning bolts. So again, just going to fire an unobstructed lightning bolt into this guy, hopefully taking him down. I do have this other lightning bolt that they have cover on no matter what due to this, so I might as well just be behind my own units. In case this lightning bolt fails or, whatever, I've got a little bit of a backup. But if it doesn't, I can fire into this unit of Morax, and then I have my... In fact, I believe I actually move the position to be a little bit over here or a little bit over here to make sure I can also shoot at the Orclings if I wanted to. So anyway, and then the Heart Piercers do plan to shoot at the Orclings right now. They have either not moved or their leader point is not in the forest or in the height flat terrain. So when they fire, they will not be incurring the cover penalty. And then I send the Wiltfather and my Jarl into this center unit of Great Axe. The Jarl will probably pop in one go, but the Wiltfather has a decent chance of holding that charge. And that's a lot of damage coming through, so we'll have to see about that. Up here on the right, I'm just hoping to hold them up for a little bit. I mean, I had to throw something expensive away, but I only have expensive things because I messed up with my Snow Foxes. I did the exact thing that I tend to harp on my regular Northern Alliance opponent for doing, which is keeping these guys too close to the unit that they're protecting. I could have held them back enough that when I pivot, nimble pivot, I can pivot, move, and then pivot, go forward to dodge this guy. But because I was butted up against this unit, the order of operations gets messed up, so I have to actually back up and then pivot. But if I had been able to do that, then I could have just blocked this charge, gone into the double here, and been pretty safe, because I decide that, these trolls can just charge into the Orclings, right? If I get the kill there, which... honestly, I probably will. I'm already out of their line of sight, I believe, so they can't, even if I double one it, they can't charge me. And then I block up this Morax regiment with another unit of Snow Foxes, so they can't charge me. So even if I double one it, it's not the end of the world, and if I do get the very easy kill here, I can just turn to face down this flank. So, give my opponent some problems to deal with, but it would have been way better had I been able to move this Snow Fox unit right in front of here, right, and gone like, you've trapped me, but I'm just going to kill this Crusher, right? You can charge into the Snow Foxes if you want, and then you're going to get flanked either way. So mistake by me, but I kept to it. With this was the original part of that plan, right? I locked down this unit, then I locked down this unit, and I was like, damn it, I trapped myself. So anyway, that's what I do. Let's move on to shooting. With my Lightning Bolt 4, I do manage to kill off that Crusher. I believe I also fired the other Lightning Bolt at it. So either way, I kill it, and then the Orclings, they get exploded by my Heart Piercers, who just roll insane this turn, kill them off really easily. And here we go with combats. Yes, I did manage to kill off that Crusher. I did try to go for the 6-inch overrun because, I've trapped myself. I might as well try to get some damage in, but I roll 1. So, fair. I did not regen the 1 wound off, so I'm probably dead against this Horde of Great Axe, but I did manage to kill off that regiment of Orclings, so I'm ready to rock if they want to fight me. And right here in the middle, I guess we'll do that. Yeah, so I do manage to... Oh, and I forgot to mention, the Snow Foxes off on the right that are fighting, or that are facing off against those Moraxes, were just slightly out of charge range. So they couldn't actually charge the Morax, which would have been great, because I would have got a TC off of it. But I was slightly out of range, so I'm just an inch away, right? Just blocking him up. Right here with this combat, I think I do pretty well here, right? I get my Cloak of Death, so I hit, all these units, and then I roll pretty hot with my hits and wounds. But this is, 10 attacks on 3s and 2s with Vicious, and then 9 attacks on 3s and 2s with Blade of Slashing. So, I managed to pump them up full of damage, and I believe I get... Did I get a waiver here? I don't see a waiver token out, but at least I got the damage going. So that'll be it for... Oh, and then MacLeod, easily kills off... Yes, I did move this so I could see the Orclings. MacLeod easily kills off that War Drum, just pops it in 1. I believe, actually, I fired the Lightning Bolt at the Orclings, even with the cover, because it's more important to me to kill these Orclings than to mess with this Crusher anymore, because I was already out of charge range. But I just got the good roll there. So anyway, that's it for turn 2 for the Varangur. Let's see what turn 2 Orcs brings. So turn 2 Orcs... I guess it's just the actual end of turn shot. Yeah, you can see these guys aren't actually fighting. They're just in the way. So here we go with turn 2 Orcs. Turn 2 Orc, we've got the Morax here just moving forward to threaten all these units. I mean, I guess, why not? The Chariots they couldn't see anything before, I believe, because I was already out of line of sight with MacLeod, or I was out of range with the rest, I guess. So they just move on to the hill a little bit. They're not actually spawn on the hill, but they can see past it because there are leader points on it, right? And they're height 4. So anyway, they go onto the hill there. We've got all of this stuff just has to do this little backup because of the traffic jam. And yeah, I didn't get a waiver on this unit because what it does is it withdraws 1 and then just shimmies to the right. But to do that, all this in the back has to just, you know, beat motherfucker and get back there. So this flank charge from the Morax can happen. I will say that Ulfgar is in a bad position here because Ulfgar cannot see this Morax regiment to give them Bane Chant, which is kind of a big deal, as I believe Morax are only crush 1. That is 40 attacks. That's really good. But they're only going to wound me on 5s, right? So, you know, 40 attacks, what is that, like 30 some hits, and then you wound me on 5s, it's like 10, 11 wounds maybe, and I'm a dash 19. So looking at like an 7 or an 8 rerollable if they pop Scopal. So not the best dice there. Even a 7 rerollable is, 25%, a little over that you'll get it. So anyway, I would like that. Like this will work for me if I hold there. I'd rather not fight the Horde of Great Axe, honestly. So anyway, off on the right, speaking of a Horde of Great Axe, yeah, they just take this charge. Should be easy kill for them onto those snow trolls, but these snow trolls are ready to rock. The Morax here just take the bait and kill. Well, it's not really bait. They have nothing else they can do. But yeah, they go into the snow foxes. Go into the snow foxes to get a kill there. And here we go with the combat. So yeah, we've got the Moraxes here. They manage only 10 wounds, so a little below. Or I think it's a little below average, right? So they're going to get 10 wounds there. They pop their skull pole, so they... Oh, no, I'm sorry. They got 9 wounds there, and then they pop their skull pole, I believe, because I think it's a 9 twice here. And yeah, of course they get it. So yeah, goodbye, Wiltfather. But I'm still pretty cool with this. I mean, this unit has 14 damage on it due to that, and, I'd spread out a decent bit of... Cloak of Death. I would prefer the Wiltfather not to be dead, but dice are dice, and I've had some good ones this game so far, so who am I to complain? And it might look like my Jarl is facing this way. I'm not. It's just that this model's a little obnoxious, so it wasn't playing well with these porks back here. So anyway, off here on the right, our first double one of the game. So it goes in here, actually breaks one of my models off. I did this, by the way, by touching it. So my opponent gets a double 1 here. I am devastated, so I'll be down to 5 attacks when I fight back. But yeah, double 1 is a double 1. Doesn't really matter if you're devastated because, I'm just going to hold them here another turn. So maybe even do some damage. So yeah, that's pretty bad. But at least they got the Wiltfather. Dice giveth, dice taketh away. And here is the end of turn shot. You can see the orcs are starting to advance towards me. I believe the center line's somewhere about here, so that's where they need to get across. Since they are the second player, they have the first opportunity to score. So now would be the time to not die, right? To just get in there. So, and with this reform, unfortunately, now my Jarl can't see them, and I'm like, damn it, because that would have been a beautiful flank charge. Would have taken that any day. Anyway, moving on to turn 3. So this is the first turn of scoring, but not for me. So all I'm trying to do is lock my opponent outside of my my half of the board so that they cannot score. So the first thing I do is roll some wild charges. These Draugr can make it into the Morax. These ones couldn't. These ones could make it into these Morax. So we go for those. This is also a hindered charge. But yep, so we go for some hindered charges into these guys. I'm just looking to lock them up for a turn while my Jabberwock get ready. Because of my opponent's placement of this Chariot Legion, this unit of Morax is taller than they are, right? It's height 2 plus 3 because they're on the hill. This Legion is not on the hill, so it's only height 4. So what I do is make it so the Jabberwock cannot be seen past this unit because my Draugr are very unlikely to kill the Morax, and if they do kill the Morax, I'll just go forward and lock them up anyway. And then I move them to get ready to kill off these Morax after the Draugr die. Or if my opponent does something cheeky, I have this unit of Draugr that can just move on forward and get in the way. And because these units are nimble, I can always just, do weird charge shenanigans and still get the Draugr in there. So yeah, I've got a layered defense here down the 3, and then no matter what my opponent does, they're getting flanked, right? So that's the plan, and I'm also going to go for a bit of Drain Life to pump the wounds up so the Jabberwock can actually kill them. I always want to call them Chimera, but they're not. So yeah, the Jabberwock can do that. And over here on the right, or I guess the center and the right, I just take my Jarl and run. So yeah, I just walk away, straight line, or I pivot, move 7 back, and then I fire the Heart Piercers plus, I believe, at least 1 lightning bolt into this Horde, which you can notice is dead. That's because I forgot to take a picture until now, but yeah, with my shooting, I easily managed to take out this unit, because Heart Piercers are insane. You can pretty easily set up no cover situations, right, even with stuff like this. It might look like they'd have cover, but they don't, as long as the Jarl gets out of the way. So I guess with this flank charge, I might not have had this clean shot, so I might have just ended up having to walk off anyway, or maybe I would have got baited into fighting the Morax instead. But anyway, doesn't happen, so I kill off that. I feel great about it. I forgot to mention that on the previous turn, actually let's go over here, this Crudger charged into MacLeod because Gakumak couldn't, for whatever reason. So yeah, because of the backup, right? I think so. So yeah, they goes into MacLeod, punches her for 2 or 3, I think. Doesn't roll the boxcar because she's a dash 15, so I Iron Resolve 1 back and I'm down to 2. And then on this turn, yeah, MacLeod just regular charges into these Orclings because I'm looking to remove as much unit strength as possible. I don't really care if she lives or dies. If Gakumak charges her, she'll probably die. So, yep, that's going to be my plan. I do take this flank charge, of course, with my snow trolls. They are hindered, and then I take a front charge with the snow foxes. I'm not sure this was the best charge, but I did want to make sure that these guys can't really reform. I mean, they could countercharge my trolls if they want to, but they're not going to be able to move forward, right, like into my side. So I'm just hoping to hold them up because I don't think that even with the flank charge, because I'm hindered, that I'll be able to kill these guys. So I'm just going to go for that. And yeah, the double 1 brigade just charges into these Morax because why not? So as I mentioned before with my shooting, I managed to kill off that Great Axe Horde. I believe they were already at 14 wounds. I did, I don't know, looks like 5 wounds to them. So I didn't do a terribly high number of wounds, but I got a good nerve there because they are a 25, right? So what is that? I had 19 on them, so I rolled a 6 twice. So not the hardest nerve check, but I did manage to land it. So they're gone. Feel good about that. And over here, I managed 16 wounds. This unit is outside of War Drum and Inspire range. So it is a 21-23, I believe. So that's only a 7 to kill once. I did fail it, but I at least got the waiver for the 6, so I'm feeling fine about that. So anyway, that's going to be that for the combat. We've got MacLeod going in, doing 3 wounds, because 1 was due to Cloak of Death, onto this Orcling regiment, getting a waiver. This waiver I actually love because all this stuff is kind of trapped, and again, I'm just trying to make sure that unit strength, like the War Drum, cannot advance forward. It can actually advance forward right now, right? Because it could just walk through here. So I guess it didn't do anything. A kill would have been better, but a waiver is fine. And here's the end of turn 3 shot as the Varangur see it. As you can see, I think things are pretty contained, right? Like none of these units with unit strength can actually get past the center line right now because of how I've locked them all in. None of them are nimble, or the ones with unit strength are not nimble. So that'll be fun, but let's see what the Orcs managed to do with their turn 3. So Orc Turn 3, first off, we've got the Crudger with Gakumak's banner, along with a Morax regiment going into these Draugr. They're probably dead. The Chariots decide to take a bit of a maneuver here. I'm not exactly sure what this is about. I'm sure my opponent told me at the time, I'm very sure that they, talked to me about it, and I probably agreed with them, but now I can't really see it. You can also see we're playing on clock. This is turn 3. My opponent has 18 minutes because of how far into the tank they've gone, and I have 28. But it's what happens when you're playing new armies. I mean, my opponent has played Orcs more than a few times, but Orcs are a difficult army to get to wrap your brain around. They've got a lot of logistical things to get through, which you might have noticed in the latest Countercharge episode about Orcs. I haven't listened to it, but I'm sure they go on to that. Anyway, we have the second Morax regiment going into these Draugr, probably also just going to kill this Draugr, and Gakumak decides to take the Jarl out, which I do believe I talked to my opponent about this because he was like, oh, I'll just charge into MacLeod and kill her, and I was like, yeah, you could do that. But the Jarl, it's also 2s and 2s to sink wounds on them. They're 15, 17, they actually have unit strength. And if you charge into the Jarl, you get the Inspire bubble onto this Morax Horde, right? So you can take either. I think that when you're behind, you kind of have to make big plays, and my opponent isn't super behind right now, but they are behind. So I think that this big play is a good idea. Also, it removes my inspiring over here. So yep, they go for it. And yep, these orcs are just trapped. The orclings here just move away so that the war drum can stare at MacLeod. And I believe this unit, or Ulfgar, what are you doing? Oh yeah, Ulfgar is going to Bane Chant onto this unit so he can get the Life Leech going and kill off the Draugr a little bit easier, although they are defense 3, so it doesn't matter. And these guys are like, we refuse to double one twice, so they're going to go after the Snow Foxes again, and let's see how that all plays out. So first off, yes, I believe Ulfgar failed the Bane Chant, which sucks, but anyway, we've got these guys getting through the Snow Foxes with 12 wounds on them pretty easily, and then they go forward as far as I can. And over here on the far left, the Morax plus Krudger combo, yep, they do manage to kill off that Draugr. I believe this guy just stayed put. Oh no, he went to the right, did a sidestep, while the Morax moved forward. I don't think it's possible that they could get into my side of the field because of where my units are, but or the majority of their footprint across the field. But yep, either way, they're going to get flanked, so they decide to just do it like this. And here we go with the rest in the center. Yeah, these Morax do manage to kill the Draugr as well. They actually had a chance to overrun and get to my side of the field, but if they did that, I'm unit strength 3, 4. I think I'm unit strength 4 right now. I'm not sure about the Jabberwock or the unit of Snow Foxes. In fact, I'm pretty sure the Snow Foxes are not in when the Jabberwock is more than 50%. So that's going to be 5 unit strength on my opponent's side of the field. So getting this 3 doesn't actually do anything. So I guess they just decide to get position instead. So with that said, it is going to be Varangur at 0, of course, because I cannot score during my opponent's turn. And the Orcs miss the first opportunity to score. So let's move into turn 4, and I'm going to try to capitalize this. So right now, I'm in a really good position because I have all the tempo, right? And the tempo being, the actual game's tempo, right? Like I'm the aggressor in this case. My opponent is going to have to react to what I'm doing rather than me reacting to them mostly. And secondly, the value play, which is that my opponent gets that first turn to score, hasn't worked out for them. So I'm actually going to get the first chance at or the first crack at scoring, and I have a good chance of it. So I'm feeling really good right now in turn 4. So yeah, I take 1 Jabberwock and I just go into the front because I believe this unit's already at 4 damage. I have a Drain Life here to go for it. So I'm like, I can probably do it with 1. And I'd like to risk it just because I feel I need to knock the Thunderous Charge off of these Chariots. And if they turn to deal with a Jabberwock, I'm perfectly fine with that because the Draugr are actually better now. So if I can hold off against, like a Morax charge for a turn longer than you might think, that'd be perfect. So we're going to do that. These Draugr are going to charge into the Krudger. I'm going to try to kill this Morax by firing a Drain Life because Drain Life doesn't care about cover to get some heal onto my Jarl. And then also, of course, the ubiquitous Heart Piercers are just going to take some shots there. Speaking of the Jarl, I'm going to go for the counter charge onto Gak because, Gakumak's at 1 wound right now is a 13-17, so effectively is a, or a 13-15, not 13-17, that'd be insane. But is effectively a 12-14, right? And I've got 9 attacks, hitting on 3s, rerolling 1, and I wound on 2s. So I believe I'm looking at like between 4 and 7 wounds, like that kind of a range. And if I can get a waiver here, that'd be perfect. A kill would even be better, but I actually don't want to reroll. Unless I get a double kill, it doesn't mean anything. So a waiver would be perfect because that'll give me another turn to get some Drain Life and get some more heal going, right? So I can survive. MacLeod goes back into the Orclings because, of course, I'm going to remove unit strength where possible. And right here, yes, I do take the Snow Foxes back into the Horde of Morax along with the Trolls. This is because I could have withdrawn with the Snow Foxes, but again, because they're not, the new withdrawal rules and because they are, not really a square unit, it's not going to work out for me anyway to try to block these Morax up. So instead, I just go with, it's better safe than sorry. Let's just get a few more attacks, even on 5s with Vicious, to try to make sure the nail is in the coffin of these Great Axe. So we're going to go for that. And let's see how that goes with our shooting. Actually, with our The first Drain Life, I believe this Drain Life goes pretty well. There's nothing to heal, but I do get this unit pretty far up there, which is really good for Jabberwocks because, they get bonus attacks. So I work right through those Morax very easily. The Draugr here charged into the Crudger. I didn't even hit them, so fair. And I manage, it looks like 3. It's either 3 or 5 wounds. I bet it's 3 though. Onto the Chariot Legion. So I've stripped them of their Thunderous. I think I can hold 1 round of combat, and if they choose to charge here and I hold, this is a flank charge. So let's see about that. In the middle, my Heart Piercers and Drain Life combo do manage to kill off another regiment of Morax, which feels really good, which also heals up my Jarl for 3 points, so down to 4 damage, and then the Jarl does what I wanted them to do, wavering Gakumak, and then I walk right into the Trolls here and kill off the Horde of Great Axe, along with MacLeod, killing off this regiment of Orclings. Now, the order of operations here is important. So the first thing I try to do is go for, I do all the shooting and all that, right? But the first thing I try to do is see if I can kill Gak, right? So always try to remove Inspiring or Rally where possible. So I go into the Inspiring target, I get a waiver there. I'm like, okay, so this unit I know will be inspired. The second thing I need to know is if, when I reform, this is how I'd like to reform. So I need to make sure these Orclings are not alive, because they could just throw enough damage, much in the same way these Snowfoxes just did, to tip the scales on this 15-17 unit. So I go to MacLeod next, I kill off the Orclings, and I'm like, okay, cool, now I can do the main combat, which is pretty likely that I kill them, but which I did. You can see the pile of damage over here. But yeah, so I don't get the double one, I do manage to kill them, and then I can reform in such a way to expose my flank over here, because I don't even think Ulfgar has a charge here, but even if they did, they're only 1 attack. The drum is facing this way, right? So away from me, and now I can reform in such a way that this Morax regiment is in my front, and if it charges into me, is going to end up being hindered, so only hitting me on 4s. So I'm all for that. But you have to do it in the proper order, right, to make sure that you're not, giving an Inspire reroll, make sure that you can set up the proper flanks and proper channels and all that. So just a bit of thought there. And at the end of the turn, I believe I'm unit strength 3, 4, 5, 6 from the Jabberwock, and I think 8 due to Draugr. So I have easily more unit strength than my opponent, who has 0 in my side of the field right now. So we're going to walk in with the Varangur scoring the first VP of the game, and the Orcs still at 0. But let's see what the Orcs do with their turn 4, see if they can pull it back a little bit. So yeah, we've got the Chariots here or the Legion of Chariots deciding to charge into a Draugr regiment. And I think this is a pretty clever move that my opponent's done here. Not just, charge, that's just what Orcs do. But, and feel free to correct me in the comments if I'm wrong, but, do actually cite sources. Don't just write, I think you're wrong. So the Crudger, I had charged before, right? And because of the alignment issues of the Morax being right here, this is as far as I could slide down. Now this unit remains engaged with me, which means it can fight, right? But when you're doing a charge into that same flank, this unit is charging, this unit is not. So I believe you do not reallocate frontage, right? Like you're centering and trying to make sure the same percentage is on the left and the right of my unit, right? Because only this unit charged. So I believe this is done correctly, right? Because the Chariots otherwise would be on this side of the unit, and the Crudger would be pushed over here, which the Chariots actually want to be over here to dodge both Jabberwock and to be deeper into my side of the field so they can get, like a 6-inch overrun, I think, and start scoring, or be in a place to score. So yeah, I think that's how it works, and if it does, that's a very clever move. And off here on the right, yes, we've got the War Drum charging into MacLeod, fair enough. Gakumak just sits still for a turn, and we've got the Morax charging into my horde of trolls. Again, I would say this is marking off. We've actually already done shooting, which is Ulfgar went for the Bane Chant. So Ulfgar is base Bane Chant 3, and then walked to be within 6 of the Morax after their charge. So now is Bane Chant 4 due to them being heavy infantry, also giving them Inspire. But also every pip that Ulfgar hits for their Bane Chant gives the unit that was targeted N life leech, right? So up to 3. So if you hit with 3 of your 4 Bane chants, because now you have 4, you're going to actually get life leech 3, or 2 or 1 or 0, right? So my opponent goes for this, ends up getting 2. I would recommend at least not putting 2 dice out, right? Just putting out tokens is a lot better than dice because this looks like a double 1. Whenever possible, don't use dice. So anyway, that's just what that's marking as the life leech, and then I threw out a Bane Chant token for him. So there we go. Let's see what they can do against the trolls, and I believe that's it for my opponent's shooting. So yeah, let's see it. So in combat, yes, a Legion of Chariots, unsurprisingly, plus a Crudger, easily kill off my Regiment of Draugr, and then they overrun. I don't think they actually make it into my side of the table, though. But now they're actually, this is going to be a bit of a picture from the next turn. I don't have flank charges because I'm facing the wrong way, but they do get that overrun. And then up here, yeah, my opponent does some damage. I think it's like 6 or 7 damage to my trolls, but not enough to kill them, not even enough to waver them. I think they actually did kill them on the first roll. No, they didn't. That's yeah, because I'm not inspired right now. So yeah, they do not get a kill there, and I'll absolutely take that. Don't get a waiver either, although it doesn't matter because this is my Chalice of Wrath unit. So anyway, with that said, it's still going to be 1 Varangur, 0 Orcs, because they do not have enough unit strength on my side of the table, even if that Legion of Chariots is there. I have at least 4, and I believe I have 6 unit strength on their side. So anyway, let's walk into turn 5. So turn 5 for the Varangur. This is going to be a bit of a weird picture because, again, we're playing on clock, so they're getting a little, loosey-goosey. So on the right, first off, I moonwalk away with the Jarl for the second time this game. I disengage. I actually do turn this way and then back up 3.5 instead of going 7 and then going this way. That probably would have been better if I had just withdrawn. No, because you can't advance now when you withdraw. Right, that's why I did it. So I withdrew, I turned to face this way, and then I backed up. Right? So right on over here, it looks like... Am I back up to 7 wounds? I think we might have forgotten that Gakumak is wavered and could not... Oh no, he has Fury. He has Fury. That's why the waiver doesn't matter. Yeah. So Gakumak had charged it into me, got me back up to 7 wounds. Didn't get a waiver this time. So I could have charged, but I decided it's actually more important that these trolls are inspired. So I just walk over here, and then I charge in with the Snow Foxes into Ulfgar. It is not hindered because I have Pathfinder. I charge in with MacLeod into the War Drum, and then I charge my trolls into the Morax. And then with my shooting, I'm just going to shoot everything into Gakumak. It's probably not going to do anything, but I'll try. And that's going to be it for Varangur turn 5, I guess. I do manage to score 2 VP. I don't get to do anything on the left because I can't see anything. Oh no, that's right. I shot at the chariots. That's where all my shooting went. So yeah, I shot at the chariots a little bit, which you can see here. They're at a fair bit of damage, which is, what is that? 9, it's 11 damage, but I believe they're at 20 something. Right, I don't get a waiver or kill because I've got the Crudger there. So anyway, I did turn these guys just to be like, yeah, I'll see you no matter what you do. Railroad them a little bit as well. The Crudger then charges into my Jabberwock here, manages to do a couple points of damage to him, but doesn't get a kill. And then over on the right, you can see, yeah, Ulfgar had taken 1 damage from my my unit of Snow Foxes, which wasn't knocked off their ability to cast, so they just back up, I guess. I probably would have gone... Oh, no, I didn't do any damage. This is from Willfather. So yeah, they withdraw because my opponent can actually score points right now. And as I mentioned before, once it's turn 6 and possibly turn 7, you're going to get 2 points per round. So getting a point here is important to try to win. So, and is possible because these trolls are fairly damaged. I believe they have 5 or 6 wounds on them still. And if they go in here, if Gakumak gets a kill, I mean, it is 7 attacks on 3s now because of the hinder. Still on 2s with Vicious, though, to wound. You can get the kill there. This Fireball is Fireball 7, I believe, base. Can still pretty easily kill off a little regiment of Snow Foxes who are not actually in cover. It's not 50% of their unit. And then that's -4 unit strength, right? And then on this side of the table, all I have are those Jabberwock left, and then the Chariots would be over here, it'd be 4-2, right? So they'd get a point, so they go for that. With the Fireball, they managed 4 wounds on me. I'm a 9-11. I am inspired by MacLeod, though, so I am not killed off. And right here, yeah, the Trolls. This is where Gak just sort of flubs, which is unfortunate. Gak's been doing amazing this game, but yeah, flubs it here. And it puts me up to 8 wounds. I believe this is when Gak got a kill on the first roll, right? So rolled a 9, but thankfully I still have the very inspiring Jarl nearby, so get the reroll. And the Kredger, also trying to go for a lucky kill, gets 3 damage onto the Jabberwock, so that's fair, but not enough to get a kill, and doesn't get the Boxcar waiver either. So with that said, here is the end of turn 5. My opponent has 4 unit strength on my side of the table. I have 1, 2, 3, 6 unit strength. So unfortunately, no points for the Orcs again. So the Varangur still have the lead at 2, but it's still anyone's game because we are closing in on turn 6. So turn 6, I'm going to automatically get 2 points here, right? But if there's a turn 7, my opponent can still tie, right? Because I'd only be at 4 points, right? So what I do is just kind of move stuff around. It looks like I believe I go for the flank charge, rear charge here. I'm running dangerously low on clock, so I don't want to do too much, right? So I go for the rear charge, flank charge here. I move these guys forward into the zone, and then I charge Gakumak with these guys, and then I send the Snow Foxes into Ulfgar because there's no reason not to. I believe I also sent MacLeod into Gak, just trying to kill them off because Gak is very dangerous. Just Nickelodeon's Gak. So we're just going to try to kill off all the dangerous units now. So with that said, yes, we do manage to kill off Gakumak with their powers combined. Trolls plus MacLeod. That's a lot of damage. It looks like Gak put up to 13 wounds. And then I actually do damage with my Snow Foxes this time, so Ulfgar will have to actually try to punch me if they want to kill me, but I do not get a waiver or kill. And over here, yep, I do a ton of damage. This is actually not even all of it, so this is what I had before. So the 14 damage here is before these 2 Jabberwock attacked, right? And they get plus 14 attacks, and it multiplies, right? So there's another 16 wounds on this unit. I didn't roll terribly well, but not poorly. But unfortunately, I roll poorly with the nerve, get a double 1, so they are devastated, but still here. So with the end of the turn, I am sitting on 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, no, I'm sorry, 6 unit strength to my opponent's 4, so I will score and put the Varangur up to 4 victory points, and the Orcs are still at 0. So they're going to have to do some really heavy lifting this turn, survive for their next turn, right? Like they can't lose any, they especially can't lose the devastated Chariots, but they need to kill off the Trolls, they need to kill off at least one of the other, no, they need to kill 2 of the 1-pointers, right? Yeah, this is going to be difficult, but I guess they'll go for it. So Troll turn 6, or I'm sorry, Troll turn 6. Orc turn 6. We've got devastated Chariots charging into this wounded Jabberwock. Probably should have gone for this Jabberwock, but I think my opponent's just going for attrition at this point. So yeah, just try to kill that guy off. And over here, Ulfgar just sits still. Actually, Ulfgar doesn't sit still. They charge in. I probably would have gone for the Trolls because, again, you got to go big now. So, yeah, he does sink a wound, but not enough to kill me. This does happen, though, which is the Jabberwock dies to a boxcar roll. So, that's fun. But that's going to be the end of turn 6. As you can see, my opponent's still at 4, and I still have all those scoring units, minus that 1 Jabberwock. So, I'm looking pretty good. I will stop them from scoring, and it will end up being Varangur 4 and Orcs 0 at the end of 6, and then we roll off, and yeah, there is no turn 7. So let's get into the conclusions and list discussion real quick. So first off, I'm going to talk about these lists a little bit. I'm going to start with the Orcs. I think this Orc list is pretty good. I like everything in it. Like, Morax are excellent. Morax regiments are excellent. The Great Axe Hordes are great, right? Boom, boom. I like that one potion of the caterpillar. I think that's a pretty smart pick. I'm not into it on Cav, but orcs tend to trip over each other really easily, and they're obviously not speed 8, so it's a little harder for them to not have to go through terrain at some point, and they really, really need to kill stuff when they charge them, right? They're only defense 4, and they're an incredibly offensive unit, right? So I like that. The 3 regiments of Orclings, I would like to see more of those, and I think that this is where it would come from. The weakest part of the list, I think, is the Chariot Legion. I'm just not sold on it, right? Like it is interesting. It's not bad, right? It's speed 8, melee 3+. It's got 5 attacks off of a Great Axe Horde, but it does have Thunder, I believe, 2 and Crush 1, so that's going to be a +3 to wound, so that's fair, right? But it doesn't have a Skull Pole access, right? You didn't put an item on it. Might be cool to figure out a way to get Nimble here, so that's fun. Anyway, I don't know. I'm not sold on them, but I'm not saying take them out. I think they're pretty cool. The War Drums, excellent, obviously. The Kredger with Gakumak's Bloody Banner, I think, is pretty close to an auto-include. It's just an excellent unit. Double Crushers, really good. Yeah, they are a 10-12. Really good units. Gakumak, 230 points. I think Gakumak is a great piece, right? Really, really lays out the damage. But I probably wouldn't ever bring him. Just because 230 points is a horde, it's almost a horde of axe, right? Or it is a horde of axe, I think, but a horde of great axe, right? That's a lot. So I think I would probably knock that down to something that's giving you inspiring, because you are a little shy on inspire here with Ulfgar, Gak, and the Kredger being your 3 inspire. So, maybe an inspiring talisman, Godspeaker would be fun. Anyway, just save the points and spend them probably on a 4th regiment of Orclings. Just 230 points, that's a lot. That's a lot for an individual in Orcs. So anyway, and then Ulfgar the Mad, amazing. Really fun unit as well. Like, it is mathematically possible, I believe, to get that plus 11 if you build this weird engine of getting plus dice, because Ulfgar is written very strangely in that the N value of their bonus is not capped at 11, as in Fireball only goes to 11. It's capped at plus 11, so their Fireball goes to 19. I don't know. It's fun, but I do think it's a pretty good piece. It's fearless. It's 120 points for an inspiring wizard that has a really, really good Bane Chant. That Bane Chant's amazing in giving you life leech as well in orcs. So all in all, I think it's a cool list. I think the only thing I would really go that probably needs to go is Gak. Take Gakumak out, reinvest those points, get a 3rd inspire. Still, right? But having a 4th Orcling is better than having Gakumak. In my opinion, right? Having another War Drum would be better. I don't know if you can get that. Yeah, you can, because you have the Legion of Chariots. But anyway, those are my thoughts. As for the Varangur, this is a new take on the Varangur list I've been running, which is, generally speaking, I run 2 regiments of Heart Piercers and a Unicorn with Lightning Bolt as my shooting contingent, and then all the rest, although one of my Magi did get a horse for this game, which I do like. But after I read Joey Greek's article on Dash 28 about the Weltfather and Night Stalkers, which I've done a few times. It was rehashing old ground for me, right? It's all the stuff that makes sense, that why you would want the Weltfather. But the more I was thinking about it, I was like, that might actually fit the Varangur list I'm building, because I'm building around these Jabberwock, right? So, you've got a hard center in the Tree Herder that gets to go forward. I generally run the 2 Jabberwock with the Jarl, right? The one on Frostbang, as a triple square base, combo, 50 mil base combo. But a Tree Herder's even better, and then I also want to have a Magus there anyway to get that Drain Life going. So I might as well just put the Magus on a horse, give it an Inspiring Talisman, run it with them for the Inspire, and then just have the Tree Herder, or have the Wiltfather out there, just really laying the hurt down and being a big old distraction Carnifex. So it's 300 points, but still. I like that combo. I'm not sure exactly if I'll do this or the Unicorn version. Either way, I would do it, because the shooting options in Varangur, while not terrible, right? They're not Spectres. They're just not as good as Heart Piercers. And as long as the game lets me, bring allies, I'm going to bring Heart Piercers. Also, it's still in theme, right? Varangur often are just Northern Alliance tribes, and I have Ice Naiad models, so like I could build a themed version of this, so it's not even breaking that. So anyway, that's the idea. I do enjoy this list. It is a little bit more elite than I'm used to. It's still 15 units, but so I guess it's about the same as most of my units. I guess just a little less shooting, a little less rounded, but it's a fun list. Go for it if you want to try it out. It's pretty fun. As for the scenario, I do like this one. It might need a bit more work, just because I put the +2 for scoring on turn 6 and 7 as a little catch-up mechanic, but it's only a catch-up mechanic for first player or for second player, right? Because the idea is that you have 3 turns to score 3, 4, you have 4 turns to score 3, 4, 5, 6 if you're second player, and 3 turns to score if you're first player, right? So if second player gets 4 points or scores 1 point on turns 3 through 5, and then first player scores on turn 6, they go to 2, and then on turn 7 they go to 4. If they can steal the game back, right? Which was, at the beginning of this, I began with a little preamble about not liking if the game goes to turn 7, you win, right? So I might adjust that down to you just get 1 point every round. Maybe you'll get 2 points on 7. I don't know. But I do like having a bit more variety on there. I don't know. If you have any opinions on it, feel free to leave it in the comments below. And until next time, bye.